Hi guys, it's Prison. Let me profiling my sorry, Chainbeat deck for you. This is my favorite deck to play. Played it for almost 5 years now. Made a whole bunch of changes to it, but it's a really awesome deck, really awesome anti-meta deck, and I hope you guys enjoy it because I love it. Alright, starting off, play 3 Wind-Up Rabbit and 3 Thunderbird. Most important monsters in the game. Wind-Up Rabbit is a quick effect. I believe it's spell speed 2. It can chain to any kind of trap, or if somebody attacks it can chain it, target itself, and banish. It says once returning target Wind-Up Rabbit, you can use it once while it's face up on the field. You can banish it until your next standby phase, and it returns to the field. But you can end up targeting himself, and when he returns to the board, it resets so you can use it as many times as you want, which is cool. And then Thunderbird does the same, except he's not as good. He has to chain to something, but when he comes back he gains 300, which is a cool thing about him is it used to stack. It doesn't anymore, which sucks. So it'll always be at 1950, but that's enough to smack over a Thunder King or any problem monster. And usually what's cool about these two guys, you can use them together. So Wind-Up Rabbit can just chain to anything or start a chain whenever it wants. Then you can just chain Thunderbird to it, which is cool. And he returns during the next standby phase, so you don't have to worry. You'll at least have a body come back out during your opponent's turn, which is cool. But that's the heart and soul of the deck, pretty much. Main floaters, and then I play one bear, because I run a tanky engine to open up with Wind-Up Rabbit. And targeting instruction isn't the best, but just one of them is pretty good. It can get rid of problem monsters every once in a while. And that 1600 attack is important, too, for something later. Same with Maramillo, it's a 1600, but also you take a +1 if you open her up. Going first, you basically open up 6 when you summon her to search out a trap hole, which is cool. And then my last monster is one Thunder King. Still good, it stops searching, but most cards nowadays, like Demise draws and Desires draws, and most people run those, so I think it's good at 1 just to stop your opponent's a 19 beater, but other than that, I don't think you should run more than 1, because that's why it's at 3, it's not as good anymore. So, still run the 1 though. Alright, on to spells, that's 9 monsters. Other card that makes the deck is 3 Black Garden. This card's awesome. Whenever either player summons a monster, you have that monster's attack and play a level 2 Dark Rose token 800 attack and defense to your opponent's side of the board. What's really cool, it's a double-edged sword with your Wind-Up Rabbit and Thunderbird. Just keep these guys out because I got a few things to explain about them. It's on board and you summon them. You can chain their effect to the activation, chain link 2 of trying to half it. Banish them, you give your opponent a token, and that's before they get halved. And then when they come back with their effect, they're not being summoned, they're being placed by an effect, so you can't strike them, or Solemn Warning them, Judgment them, anything when they come back, and they're unaffected by Black Garb when they come back, because they're not being summoned anymore, they're being placed. So, metaphorically speaking, Wind-Up Rabbit can beat over anything less than 28 or crash to 2800, and Thunderbird can beat over anything less than 3850 or crash to 3850, which means he can basically attack over anything in the game as long as this is out. So while that's out, this basically makes my little monsters be able to attack over any big monster that's out there, so this is really important. And its second effect, actually, you can do some cool stuff with that, with these two, is you can send it and all phase of plant type monsters on the field of the grave, and special summon a monster in your grave that's attack equal to their combined attack. So let's say you have a token, your opponent does, you have 2 tokens, your opponent has 2 tokens, which will happen. You can get rid of this in the tokens and special summon these back. So like you'll have, a lot of times you have like just a dead tanky sitting, so you can bring him back from the grave and pop something. Or you can bring Maramillo back and she'll pop a spell or trap, which is cool. And then you can exceed some with her, because you'll usually have a Thunderbird floating around. They usually don't leave once you summon them, which is really cool. The only second thing about these guys is Ghost Ogre's like really popular now, and you can't, if you chain and somebody Ghost Ogres, it sucks, but you don't bounce out of the way. 3 Terraforming, because it's like you're running 6 copies of Black Garden, you want to see it first turn. It's more beneficial, well, if I could speak, to have Black Garden or see it as soon as possible. So even if you have dead Terraforming, sometimes better to see it than to just cut down on possible dead cards. 3 Duality, because I don't special summon in the deck, so consistency wise, although it does suck when a token gets special summoned on Black Garden, you're special summoning it because you control the Black Garden. So if your opponent special summons on your turn before you activate Duality, then you can't activate Duality, which sucks. But it can stop you from giving your opponent a token. If you play this before you summon, then your opponent won't get a token off of it, which is pretty cool. 3 Desires, because every important card in the deck that I need, I run 3 of. Black Garden I run 6 of. So if I banish 10, it's really not going to matter. And the deck doesn't really combo at all. It's got small combos, but they don't matter. They're just little fun things you can do. You really just want to get into more cards to keep advantage. So that card's cool at 3. I run 2 tanky, 2-to-1 ratio with bear. I think is good. I used to run 3-to-2, but I relied too much on the engine, and it's not good enough to do that anymore. But it's like you're running 5 copies of rabbit, and you can also just search out a spot removal with bear, which is nice. So 2 I think is just fine. And giving that Wind Up Rabbit more attack is always nice. 1 Dark Hole is my last one. I don't have Regeki anymore, but this card's good in the deck anyways. Because if your opponent keeps, like, if you banish Wind Up Rabbit and Thunderbird off the board, and so they special summon a whole bunch while they're not on the board during their turn, like they barf on the field, let's say, or whatever, you'll have a full field of tokens, and then you'll have no spaces for your Wind Up Rabbit and Thunderbird to come back, which really sucks. So you want to sometimes just clear off your board so you don't have any floating tokens around, so then they can just fill up the rest of the spaces on their turn. So, and your Wind Up Rabbit and Thunderbird can jump out of the way, so it doesn't really even matter. That's it for the spells. Onto the traps. I play 3 Compulsory Escape Device. This card is basically specific to Chainbeat. This card's really good. The only requirements to activate is you and your opponent have to control a monster. So let's say you control one of these guys. You activate it because you control the monster and your opponent does. Then you can chain their effect and banish them. And then your opponent still has to shove back a monster. So let's say this is the only card you had out in the field. You banish it. You were able to activate because you controlled the Wind Up Rabbit on activation. Then you banished him. So now you don't have to shuffle anything your opponent does, which is really cool. And it doesn't destroy and doesn't target, which is really nice. And you can also shuffle back tokens. So if you have a field of like 3 tokens and a monster, you could just be like, oh, I'm just going to get rid of these tokens. And then your opponent has to choose a monster to shuffle. Which is really good. Play 3 Drowning. I know battle traps are slow, but this deck tries to slow down the game. It's a control deck, and it tries to dwindle your opponent's resources down while maintaining its own with its floaters. So having these is really good, because these can banish out of the way. And then when somebody attacks, and it'll become a direct attack, so you can just shuffle everything. I'm off the new list. I'm sorry about the 1 secret and 2 commons, but it just came off 3 torrential. It's really good for this deck, because you need as many board wipes as possible. But when your opponent would summon, you just activate this to throw out monsters and chain their effects to it, so they'll bounce out of the way. Your opponent loses their whole board, and next turn they'll come back, which is really cool. So it doesn't even hurt you to run the torrential. You really don't mind this, and it'll clear tokens off that you don't want. And then for my Marmella searches, 1 bottomless, because bottomless is still good. I know it's at 3, but it's not good enough to be at 3. I don't think it's situational, because some decks don't even run very many cards you can bottomless. Or that it would affect anyways, because it destroys before it vanishes. And then 1 time Space Trap Hole. There's 2 things with this one. I chose this 1 because it doesn't target, or 3. 1 doesn't target, 2, Pendulums are one of the best decks right now, so you can just shuffle them back into the deck. And 3, it's better than Floodgate Trap Hole, because if you play Floodgate in this deck, even though it doesn't target, if you flip something down, there's a lot of defense that your opponent controls. Your highest attack monster is 1950, so let's say they have 2,000 defense and you flip it face down. There's literally no way to get around in this deck unless you evac it or dark hole it. So you have like four options so far. I've shown you got 1 more, so there's like 5 in total in the deck to get rid of that. So you really just want things to clear stuff off the board, not leave it on the board. Because, believe me, I've decked out and lost before, because I just literally can't get over a defense position monster, and it's kind of irritating. I play the 1 compulsory evacuation device. Like I said, I bounce them off the board, bounce a Marmilla to search again, or a bear to resummon, save it, so you can resummon it. It's really cool. Just get some off the board. 1 warning, I don't run any strikes. They'd be really good in this deck, I just don't want to spend the money on them, so the 1 is fine. I don't run Judgment. I feel like you pay way too many life points just to negate 1 thing. I'd rather just run other cards. 2 Heavy Storm Duster. I like this card came out because it's better than MST, and I don't like running Twin Twister in this deck because, like I said, you want to maintain as much resources as possible, and if you're discarding to activate Twin Twister, you're losing them, and you don't want that. So this card gets around that, and if you just activate it during your opponent's turn, the whole you can't attack that turn won't matter because you activated it during theirs, which is cool. But this is just my answer for back row. Only sucks if somebody plays World Decree on you, but I have side deck options for that, so. My last 2 are kind of tech choices. 1, Magic Drain, because I hate getting Twin Twister. That's usually how I lose. So if your opponent's already discarding for Twin Twister, and then they got to discard 1 more spell to let it go through, they'll usually just won't activate it. And then also, almost every deck runs spells, so this will usually be live all the time, especially with all the decks that rely on field spells nowadays. Stopping a terraforming or field spell is really nice. And then I run one Starlight Road for Twin Twister as well, because Regeki and Dark Hole, Torrential really don't affect me. But the only reason I only run one is because it only works with Destruction. This will work with any spell, but this is still really good. If 2 or more cards in the field will be destroyed, you negate it, destroy it, and then special summon a Stardust. So it's pretty good. But that's it for the deck. Main deck, 40 cards. On to my extra, which you can run anything in this deck really. But I run one Ophion instead of Steelstorm Roach because you only run 5 level 4s in the deck. And so most of the time you're going to be overlaying 2, it's going to be the 2 Thunderbirds. So you can bring it out and it'll stop level 5 or higher special summons, which is good. I actually won a game in a regional against Chaos Dragons with this. Is kind of funny. For spot removal, I play one Honor Arc. I play this because it doesn't shuffle the stuff back in the deck, so if you don't want your opponent to be able to search something, you can just trap it under him, and he can't be destroyed. At least once, you can detach the material, which is really nice. One cast spell for spot removal, and he can shuffle back Floodgates, which is really nice. So, and flip stuff face down. That's usually not an issue, but like it's something you really need to do. But being able to shovel something back is also really cool. Get rid of like a World Decree or whatever you need to get off the board, or an Imperial Iron Wall. That sucks against this deck. One Cowboy to do the last 800 you need to do to get game, and sometimes you can use its attack to attack over something with 2500 or less to have him gain 1000, make him lose 500. So that's pretty good. One Master Key Beetle, because like I said, the 2 are usually going to overlay your Thunderbirds and their Darks, so you can play this and then like detach to protect your Black Garden, or really anything you want to save on the board, but usually just to protect that garden so they can't get rid of it. And you can play it in defense too, so it's got like at least 800, I'm pretty sure, yeah. So they'd need higher than 1600 to get over it, or you can just play it in attack, don't really matter. I play one Gem Knight Pearl just in case you do go up against somebody who plays Skill Drain, or like somebody's still playing Fiendish Chain. God knows who plays that still, but if somebody is, he doesn't have an effect, so they can't target him. He's just 26 beater. He's the only monster in the game, at least the only level 4 that I've found so far that doesn't need an effect to activate an effect to get over like a Stardust Dragon or anything lower than that. So like if somebody has like a 2500, I could just play him and just attack, and I wouldn't have to worry about any effect negation to do it. One Diamond Dyer for spot removal. This card's actually really cool in this deck. It has some really cool interactions. So, if you have a Wind-Up Rabbit on board, Diamond Dyer, you have to target a Beast, Beast Warrior, Winged Beast monster, and then another card and pop both, like destroy both. Well, you can target your Wind-Up Rabbit and target the other cards. The requirements met for the effect. Then you can chain target Wind-Up Rabbit to banish, and then you still get to pop the other card and keep your Diamond Dyer, so you don't just have to get rid of him, which is super cool. And then for my last level 4, I play one number 52 Diamond Crab King. He's a 3000 attack Dante, which is really awesome. It just helps you attack over stuff. For my 3s, for the Wind-Up Rabbits, play one Zen Mains. You just attack into something on purpose and detach so he can't be destroyed. And then you can pop a problem monster or a Floodgate, which is really cool. One Super Quantal, Mech Beast Grand Pulse. It's just an MST. Can't activate during your opponent's turn, but it's 2800 defense. You can just sit on it under Garden and you can pop something because the Garden doesn't have defense. One out of the card to get over a defense position. This is another out to face down defense or whatever, just to make sure I can get over it, especially if I know what it is. One Soul Silver Mountain, 2 level 3 Earths, so the Wind-Up Rabbit works perfect. You can detach and target a set card they can't activate as long as he's face up on the board. And then if he destroys something, you can special summon Earth Monster. So if you detach a rabbit to stop a Mirror Force, attack over something, you can just special summon that rabbit again. And his effects aren't negated, so you can just start banishing him again using him, which is really cool. Then for my last level 3, I play one number 30, Aztec Golem Destruction. Again, if somebody Skill Drains, and it's just a 3000 beater. You should only play this when you know you're going per game, because once he runs out of materials, start taking 2000 damage and you can't special, which sucks. But just my out to a lot of high attack monsters. And then I do run the one Stardust Dragon for the Starlight Road, and my only link is Gaia Saber, the Lightning Shadow. I actually really like this card because it works. It just uses 3 monsters, so you can use tokens for it, which is cool, and your own monsters. that's it, guys. That's my Chainbeat deck profile. I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll try to get you more videos. I will see you guys. Thanks for watching.